is a piece of land in India so narrow, so exposed, that military planners have wargamed its loss more times than they will admit. It is 22 kilometers wide, that is it, 22 kilometers, between a united India and a severed one. 50 million Indians in 8 states, 8% of India's territory, all connected to the rest of the country through this one strip of land. If someone cuts this corridor, China from the north, Bangladesh from the south, India's entire northeast is gone, not occupied, gone, isolated, cut off, as if it never existed. The corridor exists because of one event. August 1947. Before partition, the northeast was connected to the rest of India through what became East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. When the border was drawn, that connection was severed. What was left was this, a 22-kilometer thread. Look at the map carefully. To the west, Nepal; to the south, Bangladesh; to the east, Bhutan; and to the north, just 130 kilometers away, the Chumbi Valley, a finger of Chinese-controlled Tibet pointing directly at the corridor. China doesn't even need to cross into India, it just needs to reach Bhutan. In 2017, China tried. The Doklam standoff. Chinese troops began building a road in Bhutanese territory that overlooks the Siliguri Corridor. India sent its own soldiers in 73 days of standoff. China eventually pulled back, but it never stopped trying to get closer. A Chinese advance of just 130 kilometers through Bhutan would cut the corridor. 50 million Indians in 8 states, isolated from their own country. That is the number every Indian army general knows by heart. Threat 1. China from the north. The Chumbi Valley points at the corridor like a loaded weapon. China has been building roads, airstrips, and fortified villages directly toward the Tri-Junction since 2020. Satellite imagery from Planet Labs confirms construction of air defense installations in Tibet, positioned to cover the corridor's approach. The Chinese military can mobilize rapidly from Tibet. India knows this. China knows India knows this. Threat 2. Bangladesh from the south. In August 2024, Sheikh Hasina fell. The new government in Dhaka tilted toward China and Pakistan. Then in April 2025, Bangladesh's interim leader Muhammad Yunus visited Beijing. On that visit, he said, and these are his words, Bangladesh is the only guardian of the ocean for the entire northeast of India. He was telling China what India's vulnerability was. Threat 3. The airbase. In March 2025, Bangladesh announced the revival of the Lalmanirhat Air Base, a World War II-era British airfield. Chinese officials visited the site. The airbase sits 12 to 15 kilometers from the Indian border, 135 kilometers from the Siliguri Corridor, within aerial range of the corridor, within radar, surveillance range of India's troop movements. India sought assurances from Dhaka. Dhaka gave them. India is still watching. November 2025. India establishes 3 new military garrisons directly along the Indo-Bangladesh border surrounding the corridor. Bamuni near Dhubri in Assam, Kishanganj in Bihar, Chopra in West Bengal, 3 points, forming a defensive triangle around the corridor's most exposed side. The corridor already houses some of India's most advanced military hardware. Rafale fighter jets at Hashimara Air Base, a BrahMos cruise missile regiment. The S-400 air defense system. The Trishakti Corps, 33 Corps, headquartered at Sukna. T-90 tanks deployed for fast riverine operations. The corridor is not just a weakness, it is a loaded gun pointed in every direction. India's Army Chief, General Upender Dwivedi, said this publicly in November 2025. The corridor is India's strongest defense corridor, not its weakest. That troops from West Bengal, Sikkim, and the northeast can converge here. faster than any adversary can advance. He said India sees this differently, through a different lens. India also countered the Lalmunirhat threat directly. In May 2025, the Airports Authority of India conducted a site visit to Kailashahar Airport in Tripura, an airfield used in the 1971 war to support the birth of Bangladesh. Now India is reviving it against the very country it helped create. History does not care about gratitude, and India's most important long-term answer is concrete. Literally. The government has spent over 2 trillion rupees in the last decade connecting the northeast to the mainland through roads, bridges, tunnels, and railways. The Bogibeel Bridge, the Bhutan Hazarika Bridge, the Sela Tunnel, the Trans-Arunachal Highway. An alternate nervous system for a part of India that never had one. The Northeast is not just territory. It shares 5,484 kilometers of international border with China, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Bhutan, and Nepal. That is more international border than any other region of India. The Northeast is India's only land interface with Southeast Asia. If the corridor is cut, India loses that interface. Permanently. Here is what is never said out loud. The corridor is 22 kilometers wide. An Indian Express train takes 13 minutes to cross 22 kilometers. A fighter jet takes 45 seconds. A BrahMos missile takes 12 seconds. The corridor is not a defensive position. It is a timing problem. The 22-kilometer corridor has survived partition. It survived 1962. It survived Doklam. It survived the fall of Sheikh Hasina and the pivot of Bangladesh toward China. It has survived everything thrown at it, because India has never let it be tested for real. 22 kilometers, that is how much space India has between a united country and a fractured one. And right now, in November 2025, India is filling every centimeter of that space with steel, concrete, and intent.